This is the first access mini case, and we'll create an access database with two tables, suppliers and products respectively, set the primary keys in those two tables, populate the tables, create a relationship between the two tables, and then create 4 queries that pull data from a single table. We will discuss more complicated queries in the next mini case. The first thing you need to do is download the file products.xlsx, and you need to make sure that if you're using the VM, you store this file on the VM, as I've done here. If you're not using the VM, then obviously you want to store it on your own computer. We're going to start up Access by going to the Windows icon here and then selecting Access from the list of apps that comes up. It's probably the first one in the list of apps. So we click Access and then we create a new database, and we're going to call that database MC5, and then whatever your initials are, HR in my case. So now we create the database, and this will come up. You'll see the datasheet view for a table 1 that Access has created for you. We're going to change to the design view by View, Design View. And the first thing Access is going to ask us is to give a name to that table. And we're going to call this one Suppliers. And that will change the name of the file, of the table, to Suppliers. And now we can start adding the fields to this table. Now the first field is going to be sub-ID, and rather than make that auto number, we're going to make that a short text. And we want that to be 4 characters long, and we want that to consist of a letter followed by 3 digits. So the 4 indicates that sub-ID is always going to be 4 digits long, and the input mask indicates that it will consist of a letter followed by 3 digits. You will also note the little key thing to the right of, to the left of sub-ID. That indicates that sub-ID will be the primary key in the suppliers table. You may recall that in the text we talked about metadata. Well, this is an example of metadata in the sense that it tells us about the sub-ID data, that it's going to be a sub-ID field that's going to be 4 characters long, and that it will consist of a letter followed by 3 digits. We're now going to add a second field called company, so we click here. And that will be a short text as well, but we'll make it 25 characters long. And the second thing we're going to do, you see the required field. We're going to make this a required field. Okay, so now we have that one added as well. We're going to add 6 more fields, namely job title. You see that by default, Access will now make them short texts. Business phone. Address. City. State. And zip. Job title, again, will have a length of 25. It is required. And we're going to assume that business phone is required too. Now, we're going to put a input mask on business phone, and the input mask looks slightly complicated. So it's going to be exclamation mark, backslash, open bracket, 999, quote, close bracket, space, quote, 000, backslash, minus, well, hyphen 0000, and then two semicolons. This is complicated. What this says is that a telephone number will consist of an open bracket followed by 3 digits, followed by a closing bracket, followed by a space, followed by 3 digits, followed by a hyphen, followed by 4 digits. We'll see an easy way to do all of this in a minute. We also want an input mask on zip, but rather than type this in, we're going to click on the ellipsis here. Okay, we need to save it first, so we'll save it. And now we can select the input mask. We want this to be a zip code. So if we do next and finish, then you see that Access makes the input mask for you. And obviously we could have done that on business phone as well. So rather than type this in, so we'll save, we make phone number and we do finish, and we actually get the same input mask because we did this right. Let's save the table and close all this. Close this as well. So now we have the suppliers table, and we can now start populating the suppliers table. I click on this, that brings up the data sheet. You see that what I get here is something that reminds me of what the input mask was. So we just make some up. Toyota, president, and then the business phone is going to be 312 423 4235. It doesn't really matter. The address is 12 Car Road. The city is Mobile in Alabama. And the zip is 336135671. And then we're going to make a second one, S002. But I'm not going to show you how to populate this, this table. I'll just do this offline, and then we'll start looking at the second table. You may want to try what happens when you put in a value in sub ID or business phone or zip that doesn't correspond to the input mask.